ladies, Coach Chelsea right here, and I have my client Erin, who is graduating from the Embrace Your Strength Academy from working with me for several months. We started back in November, kind of doing some pre-holiday work together, like get through the holidays, and then we really dove into her program after the first of the year. And so we're just going to share today a little bit about her story and her transformation. So, Erin, I would just love for you to share with everyone, like, where were you when you first started? Like, what brought you to the point where you're like, man, I really could use some help getting past where I'm at right now?
Yes, I mean, as you know, I was a very busy mom of three, and I was attempting to tackle nutrition and fitness the same way that I had been pre-baby, but it wasn't working naturally because pregnancy puts your body through a lot of changes. And so um, I was getting very frustrated because I had said to myself, these things worked before. Why aren't they working now? And I kept going into that mindset of like, okay, I guess I just need to eat even less and move even more. But getting my workouts in was becoming increasingly difficult with three kids. When they were babies, it was a little bit easier to squeeze in. But as they grew into toddlerhood, it became a lot more complicated. And it got to a point where I just threw in the towel on workouts altogether, which was very disheartening because I am a pretty fitness oriented person, and having to basically say, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the time. That's when I said, there's got to be a better way. And I knew that you had worked specifically with women that were kind of in that perimenopause, menopause phase. And even though I think I'm only knocking on that door at the moment, I knew that I needed to completely reformat how I was doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so many women get stuck in that old thinking and framing it as in like, this used to work for me before. Why isn't it working now? And our bodies just, they change after, especially after having children. But after like 30, I mean, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news of like everything goes downhill, but things do start to shift and to change. And we need to do something different to support our body, both nutritionally, movement wise, and mental clarity wise too, that is going to help to get us through, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. So, um, how did you feel like when we first got started? Because obviously you came to me frustrated, like I have like this much time to do all of this stuff. Like how was that overall feeling of like getting started and what you expected from the program versus kind of like what we developed for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, um, in the very beginning, I was very optimistic because I knew you had had a lot of success with other clients, but there's always that negative Nelly in the back of your head. And that person was telling me that, you know, to feel skeptical, like this is just going to be like everything else, like you're not going to make any progress. And I will say, like, when we first kind of started like nailing down nutrition and everything, you're like, okay, I want you to hit this protein goal. And I was like, oh man, like, can I do this? Because I had never considered, getting that much protein into my diet. But once I started really tackling it, I actually realized like, no, this actually isn't as hard as you think. You just have to get creative about how you work it into your diet. But yeah, so initially I was optimistic yet skeptical. It didn't take long for that skepticism to go away.
I love it. You definitely trusted the process and jumped full in. And that's one thing I definitely want to applaud you for, Erin, is that like your commitment to consistency is what has gotten you so far in this program. And so I'd love for you to just kind of share like what was your experience? Like what were the results that you got, both physical, mental, through just kind of the last, six months?
Yeah, the mental transformation has been huge, but I'll touch on the physical first. So, I mean, the photos, right? The before and after photos that we were constantly kind of taking photos, and it was just like, whoa, like admittedly on the scale, I may not be seeing, the progress that maybe I wanted or anything, but the photos speak for themselves, and that's where the body recomposition was really really happening. I was shocked. In particular, I think think it was like the third time we took photos, and like my stomach and like my face, like you could see from the side, like how much definition I suddenly had like right here. And then just the stomach too, it was like kind of like you had said, like you obviously had some inflammation that you didn't even know was there. And so that has been huge. I've lost inches, quite a few inches off my waist. I can't remember exactly how much, but I want to say that it's at least 6. Um, and as far as mental transformation, I mean, I think that's been the biggest thing. And I know you and I have talked about this just pretty recently in the last couple of weeks, but um, getting out of that, I have to be perfect all the time in order to get results. This program has kind of broken me out of that mindset and said, focus on the consistency, like you've said, like focus on the consistency. Life is going to happen whether I want it to or not. I've got 3 kids. I work a full-time job. Things are going to happen. But just making sure that at the start of each day that I'm sort of pressing play, so to speak, on my nutrition and fitness. And you know what? If I am not able to get my workout in that day, okay, you know what? We try again the next day and just focus on the nutrition piece that day. But I think a lot of women, and I was definitely one of them, suffered from that all or nothing mindset. And going through this program has completely broken me out of that. And it's felt very freeing because I can say, you don't have to be perfect to get results. Maybe you're not going to get them instantly, but you're still going to get them. So,
I love that. Showing up messy is still showing up and it still moves that needle. And yeah, you definitely, that's been the most exciting thing to see is that shift out of all or nothing for sure. And I also just want to tell anyone that's watching too that we did not start Erin in a fat loss phase. Like we actually had to even all of the things out, bring her protein up, bring her closer to maintenance. And she actually started seeing a ton of changes in her body just by giving it the fuel that it needed. And nothing extreme, nothing crazy, just slow strategic steps to her goals. And then when we did put her in the fat loss phase, slowly getting more of the inflammation off while still building muscle. And, now Erin is graduating from the program and is set up with some next steps plans. How do you feel about moving forward on your own and kind of like what this program has done to prepare you in order to kind of step out on your own this time?
yeah, this is the first time in my life, and I've been doing, diets and fitness stuff for a very long time. And this is the first time in my entire life that I feel like I sort of have all the pieces of the puzzle to do this on my own. A lot of it too is and I know a lot of people struggle with this too. There's so much noise, so much fitness, nutrition noise. You're trying to sift through what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not, and it gets very overwhelming. So your program has really said, here's what you need to focus on, here's what's real and here's what's not. And I just feel like for the first time in my life, it's like I know exactly what I need to do and how to do it. And it's not overly extreme. It's not like, okay, you can only eat 1,200 calories a day and you need to work out for an hour 5, 6 days a week. It's not anything like that at all. And so I feel like it's like this veil has sort of been lifted off. And it just makes me feel like very secure about moving forward on my own. And also knowing that I can still, tap you on the shoulder every now and then if needed. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the biggest piece that I really strive for in this is like educating you on how to get there too. And again, kind of hoping to provide more clarity around the things that look really messy and just, here is your specific plan so that you can focus on you and not get that shiny object syndrome that we tend to get when there is so much noise in the space, right? When we're trying to look at our health and fitness and, just stepping out on your own and feeling like this is something that you can do for the rest of your life. Like this is a lifestyle change and you can continue this easily by just continuing to show up and be consistent and stay focused, is a really big deal. So, I just applaud you for all of your success. And it's just been a blessing to work with you the last, what, it's almost been 9 months now. So, um, what would you tell somebody if they were looking into this program or even just looking at getting started with a coach? Like, what advice would you give someone that's looking into doing something like that?
I mean, kind of like everyone says with this kind of stuff, like trust the process. It's really easy to fall back into previous mindsets, the all or nothing, well, I thought I needed to do X, Y, and Z in order to see results. With something like this, that's really going to be very personalized. And that's what I've been so appreciative of, is because of how busy I am. It's like you said, okay, we're going to strip down these workouts to do exactly this. They're extremely efficient. And so I would just say, trust the process, be consistent. I mean, that's really the key to anything, right? Is being consistent. But don't be afraid to ask questions. I've asked questions, some of which I've felt like were a little bit silly, but Chelsea never, made me feel like they were silly questions. And being honest too. I mean, when I came to you and I was like, I got to change up the workout situation because my consistency was going down. Um, you know, just being honest with your trainer or whoever you're working with, to get the best results that you can.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest piece of that I've always asked all my girls is just give me full communication. We'll change something to make it fit in and around your life. This isn't meant to be another thing on the list. We need to figure out, and sometimes we get super creative on how we can make that consistency happen. But that is what needs to happen in order to move you forward is what can we be the most consistent with? And we've had to get creative a few times. And I'm sure we'll have to get creative a few more times, but now you have the tools to know when and where and how to shift into those as necessary moving forward. So cool. Any final thoughts or questions or anything that you want to share?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. And like I said, I've loved working with you. I am so excited for your success and to see you continue down that path. And I can't wait to see where you're going to be in the next 6 months.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's super exciting.